Hello, I'm Jack Cumming, and this is a reprise of a presentation that I gave with A.V. Powell at the Palm Springs meeting of Aging Services of California. Unfortunately, the video made at that meeting wasn't as clear as we would have liked, and this is an attempt to improve, at least on this part of it. So, to begin, I'm an actuary and a CCRC resident, and the topic is financial management of CCRC residency. There are two sides to this coin. First is, what do providers want? Providers want financial success. They hope for a quick fill-up and continued high occupancy thereafter. They want residents who are able to afford to live in the facility and who are happy about their choice to live there. What do residents want? Residents want a lifestyle and security. And there are two aspects of security. Security involves financial certainty. No one wants to be a ward of the state. And physical security, an assurance that services will be there when and as needed. Today's CCRCs do a good job in providing physical security. Most of what is involved in physical security is well understood. Financial security, though, is more elusive. So let's take a look at some of the challenges to see what it would take to bring financial security up to the same level as the physical security that CCRCs now provide. I just recently learned of the bankruptcy of the Village at Penn State. This is just the latest in a series of recent CCRC financial failures. According to an executive for the bankrupt entity, those feeling the most pain are the bondholders. They are owed a cumulative $29 million. The executive said, the bondholders are understanding of the process. It's just one of those things that happens with the industry. Well, I wonder if the bondholders are really, as they're represented to be, so accepting of the loss of millions and millions of dollars. Clearly, there is a need for astute business judgment and analysis in the formation and operation of CCRCs. There are many financial experts serving the CCRC industry. Even an architectural firm like Perkins Eastman has a financial aspect included in its software. And more recently, economists have become more interested in aging because of the growing political clamor for social insurance programs to help with long-term care costs. But two professions stand out for addressing the financial security that residents crave and the financial challenges that providers face. Accountants have traditionally been the central resource for CCRC managers. Actuaries, though, are highly trained select professionals versed in the mathematics of finance and human contingencies. Actuaries are able to model the challenges that people face as they age. Residents want assurance that the CCRC will continue for the rest of their lives and that any refund obligations for their heirs will be paid promptly and in full. Providers want financial policies that facilitate the development of new CCRCs and that allow sufficient margins for fair pay for staff and executives. And everyone is a prospective resident, except for those few of us who are already residents. Let's pause for a moment to talk about actuaries, since there were two of us at the Palm Springs meeting, and that's more than many people meet in a lifetime. A qualified actuary can help ensure that calculated liabilities make full and sufficient provision for all contractual and related commitment obligations for any CCRC that makes lifetime commitments that involve guarantees of availability of services for contingencies of human aging. In other words, when you move into a CCRC and are given lifetime assurances, actuaries are specifically versed in anticipating those assurances to make sure that the finances and the staffing and the capability and the technology can be there to help meet those requirements as they come into play. This does not mean that entrance fees can't be invested in buildings, and it does not mean that they need be escrowed, as some have suggested. But there is a need for liquidity. You need liquidity to be able to meet everyday costs, like the cost of food and meeting payroll, and you need liquidity to be able to meet contingent costs, the payment of refunds to those who are entitled to them, or to meet the burdens of increased skilled nursing facility costs as people age and require additional assistance or nursing care. But there are mechanisms to meet liquidity needs. Cash management is one. You may have a standby letter of credit. Reinsurance can also help to meet liquidity requirements. And actuaries can help you to project these cash needs to optimize the financial working of the CCRC. Also, actuaries can help you to meet market demand. And this is where the handout that was given out and which is available on the website comes into play. The contract variations from full care contract to a fee-for-service contract, or from a very rapidly declining refund contract to one that provides a refund at death or withdrawal. All of those variations are mathematically related. And because they're mathematically related, with the help of the mathematical tools that actuaries can provide, you can offer all of them on a financially neutral basis. So you can offer these options, and you can even wrap, say, a life care contract around long-term care insurance so that you can allow an entering resident who may have an existing long-term care insurance product to get some form of credit for the value of the long-term care insurance, provided that insurance is available to help meet the costs that the facility would otherwise have to meet. By working with the mathematics of these variations, actuaries can give you market flexibility to help you to respond to competitive challenges, and you need not be concerned with the risk that's involved because reinsurance can be used to remove that risk from the provider and transfer it to the greater uh, base that the reinsurer is able to make available. Now, the CCRC where I live has a Type C contract. A Type C contract is a fee-for-service contract. Let me just pause for a moment to make some of these distinctions a little bit clear. A Type A contract is the traditional full care, life care contract under which there's no increase in monthly fee or a nominal increase to cover the added meal cost if you have to advance from independent living to assisted living or to skilled nursing care. Under a Type C contract, those risks remain with the resident. The resident may receive a small discount to recognize the fact that the provider has reduced marketing costs if the independent living resident is a captive in the facility already. They don't have to market the skilled nursing care to that resident. But in general, the cost of care, the risk associated with advancing age remains with the resident. For my wife and me, since our facility only offers a Type C contract, that meant that we've had to set aside substantial personal resources as a reserve against the possibility that we may eventually need nursing care or other assistance. For each of us, that was roughly $500,000, so $1 million for the two of us. That's a substantial burden that remains with the resident. Now, if the provider provides that care in the form of a Type A contract, they only need to fund it at the average because they'll have a spread of risk across the 200 or so residents that they are likely to be protecting. But for an individual, the individual has to assume the worst case and assume that the most terrible thing happens and that the financial exposure is extreme to be 100% safe. And so in our case, that has meant that we've had to set aside roughly $1 million, and that would be true of any couple who was situated with us. Recently, a friend of ours who just turned 70 and is feeling her age decided to leave our Type C CCRC, and she took a loss on her entrance fee to do so that she can move to a competitive facility nearby that offers a Type A contract and better financial security overall. So actuaries can help refine the mathematics of operating a CCRC, and I should say something about that because some people just imagine that we make a set of assumptions and then do a projection and that's about it. But we put a lot of judgment into tailoring the assumptions and the appropriateness of the actuarial model to the specific community that we're working with. And we try to get a lot of information about the quality of the management, the nature of the resident population, how they're selected, that sort of thing. And all of that enters into an initial set of assumptions. Then as time goes along, we monitor the actual experience relative to what those assumptions were, and that allows us to refine those assumptions so that over time, the model for a particular CCRC becomes ever more accurate and more reflective of the actual business practices of the particular CCRC. So actuaries can be valuable members of your business team, whether you offer a Type A contract or you have joined the trend toward Type C. And even with Type C, you still have to anticipate the demand for services so that you are prepared to meet that demand when it comes. And that's something that actuaries can help you with.